You're not escaping, you're emotionally regulating. And now, not only are you emotionally regulating, you are walking into that with the understanding that I want to get better at handling this and being able to do it next time. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Role Model Podcast. I am your host, Derek Peterson. And today, episode 3, we're talking about healthy coping mechanisms. What am I going to do to actually become different? So, first episode, we talked a little bit about the catalyst event. So the moment in time that we decided to change. So for all of us, that's going to be different. And it usually is connected to the thing that we idolize the most. So the thing that we think is going to give us the joy and satisfaction of in life, whether that thing is granted to us and we get the opportunity to realize that it doesn't satisfy the needs that we had given it and subscribed to it, or whether it's something that is, restricted from us and it feels like we'll never obtain it. And then ultimately coming to terms with those feelings, that those catalyst events are the moments for change and growth. I told the story about mine where, for the first time in my life, I had actually contemplated, pulling into oncoming traffic after my daughters had told me they didn't want to come home with me. And I was going through a second divorce and I was broke and didn't have a lot of friends and I was drinking and eating too much. It was just a bad moment. So that was the moment that I used to change the trajectory of my life. The second podcast, we discussed some negative coping mechanisms, instant gratification and avoidance, the things that we use to keep us from actually dealing and sitting in our emotions, because as men, it's really easy to not. And finding coping mechanisms is at the tip of our fingers constantly. Very addictive coping mechanisms, doom scrolling, pornography, gambling, drugs, alcohol, sex, all of it, all the typical things that we use to avoid actually being present and sitting in our feelings and processing them. Those things are become incredibly useful for avoidance. Now, the second thing today we're going to talk about positive coping mechanisms, but positive coping mechanisms can also be, healthy behaviors can also be used to avoid processing feelings. So we'll see this in like the manosphere, gym culture. There's a lot of dudes that use working out as the thing to avoid actually addressing their feelings. There's a bunch of other stuff, eating right, obsessing over how you look, reading can even be a form of escapism. And I used to use this analogy where I would talk to my clients when I was a personal trainer and tell them, your form can be perfect. On a bench press, you can literally be doing the form exactly how a coach would coach you and still be using the wrong muscles. Because neurologically, depending on how you've patterned your body, if you have not engaged your pec muscles for, decades, and you've been using your anterior deltoids, your shoulder muscles, to lift and do any kind of pushing motion, your form on a bench press can be perfect and you can still not be engaging your chest. You can be engaging your anterior deltoids. And you see this with dudes all the times, that older dudes specifically that often have giant shoulders and no pecs. They have just created an adaptation and they have stopped using their chest muscles. So like there is a world where you can be doing all of the right things the wrong way. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit today about, I'm going to just start with this because a lot of people called me extreme a couple years ago when at the start of summer, I sat down with all my kids, all 4 of my kids, and I basically forced them to do my morning routine to earn their device time. So in the evening, they would get anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of video game, iPad, phone time. But they had to earn that. And the way they earned that was every morning, and not every morning, they could spread this out throughout the day however they wanted to, but they basically had to do all the same things I was doing. So they had to read for 30 minutes every day. They had to have a hobby that they did for an hour. They had to work out. They had to journal, and they had to do daily affirmations. So all of that combined was about 2 hours worth of work to do over the course of the day. And as long as they did those things and checked off the boxes in their journal, then they got their device time in the evening. And these are things that I do every day. And God, I mean, the hope is that I can teach my kids to the things that it took me forever to learn as an adult, so that they at least understand and come out of their teenage years feeling equipped, hopefully, to handle the emotional stresses of adult life. Because I was quick to run into adulthood, not realizing that it wasn't nearly as pleasant as I thought it was going, as I had made it out to be in my head. So with the weight of all of that, I want my kids to be able to handle some of these things. So over the course of the summer, it was just constant complaining every day. Do we have to do this? There was always this negotiation of like, oh, I didn't do this for enough time. Half the time, some of the kids would lie to me and tell me that they did. There was even some collusion moments where, hey, I'll tell mom and dad I did this if you tell them I did this, and shit like that, which is all typical kid behavior. But, ultimately we got through the summer and all the kids actually ended up feeling satisfied. We got to the end of the summer and they felt like it was a pretty good summer. So fast forward to this last summer, I told all of the kids that I was not going to enforce my routines on them anymore, and that they would I'm not going to drive the ship for their motivation, that these are all things that they need to be doing on their own. So with that, we got through this entire summer, and they got devices every evening, no matter what they did throughout the day. My oldest daughter didn't do much over the summer in regards to working out and practicing, ended up getting cut from the volleyball team. My oldest son did not do much in the essence of working out, and he did not make the A team on football this year. He's on B team. They did spend 4 to 5 hours every night playing devices, and so over these last couple of weeks, there's been a few validating moments where two of my children, unprompted, came up to me and said, "Hey, next summer we would like to do what we did last summer, so we feel better. Like we feel like there was something productive," because they didn't feel like they got much done this year. So there is, even in children, this innate sense of, man, like just running straight into unproductive uses of time and things that don't mean a lot. They also don't feel good. And I don't know that my kids are using devices to cope as much as they are just that's the thing that they enjoy doing because it's addictive and fun. But it also clearly doesn't make them feel good because they're communicating that to me. So it's a really critical aspect for us to, and for me particularly, to really understand what I'm doing and what the purpose of it is. So as we look at healthy coping mechanisms, there's a couple of questions we need to ask ourselves is, am I using these things to escape? So, and what that means is I don't want to feel this feeling. So if that's the case, I don't want to feel this feeling going to alcohol, THC, gambling, porn. If you catch yourself grabbing your phone, and you actually try to quickly trace back the feeling of boredom or anxiousness, stress, oftentimes we pick up our phone and just start looking at it because we're trying to emotionally regulate, and the dopamine kicks have calmed us down. So I'll catch myself throughout the day sometimes picking up my phone. I'm like, man, why am I looking at this again? Sometimes I'll pick up my phone and look at it while I'm watching a TV show, which is just ridiculous. So the coping is a constant thing and takes actual thought to regulate it. So then there's regulation in general. So this feeling is real. I need to get myself into a healthier state so I can deal with it. The better things to use are exercise, walking, meditation, prayer, talking to a therapist, reading, journaling, self-help books. Emotional regulation is this is where healthy coping mechanisms come in. They actually help with these regulations. So like I'm not avoiding the feeling. I'm recognizing that there's a feeling happening, and now I'm going to take it further to process through it. And I'm going to use one of these healthy coping mechanisms to process whatever feeling I'm going through. And we use healthy coping mechanisms are fantastic when we are in a good mood. We naturally do it. Like if I'm feeling great and I'm excited about something, I'm going to tell a friend, I'm going to talk, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. Like these things happen naturally when we feel really good about ourselves. So like when we're feeling inspired, we journal, we pray, we thank God, we do all the things that we would really come natural to be feeling good. So part of emotionally regulating some of the negative emotions is understanding that the feeling is real, but also understanding that I can connect a positive behavior to a bad emotion. So I can, when I feel bad, I know that working out is likely going to tip the scale towards making me feel better. When I feel bad, talking to a friend is likely going to tip the scale to making me feel better and more understood about how I'm actually feeling. When I feel bad, journaling, prayer, meditation, all of these things are going to tip the scale into better understanding, and I'm going to come out on the other end. The hard part about this is that it's delayed gratification, right? We have to walk into a healthy coping mechanism knowing that it doesn't always make us feel good right away. Sometimes it does. Like sometimes, calling a friend and processing on the phone can offer some instant gratification. So there is healthy coping instant gratification. I don't want to say that all healthy coping mechanisms are delayed gratification is a requirement, but I will say when you are experiencing negative emotions, to use a healthy coping mechanism typically requires discipline. Do you know how often I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I absolutely do not want to go to the gym, but I also know about halfway through my workout, I'm going to feel fucking great and I'm going to be so thankful that I showed up and actually did it. So that's the thing that drives me and gets me going back. And then I get home and I'm a far more pleasant person as a result of it. So that healthy coping does require the understanding of delayed gratification sometimes. So, and the last kind of pillar in this world would be growth. So, I want to build a life where I'm better equipped to deal with these feelings next time. So, I want to get faster and more efficient at processing negative emotions. And again, reading, therapy, learning, hobbies, relationship practice like relationship skills with friends, talking through things, uh maintaining opposite sex friendships with boundaries, which we can talk about that in another podcast. Developing just general discipline. This is where growth really happens. So you're not escaping, you're emotionally regulating. And now, not only are you emotionally regulating, you are walking into that with the understanding that I want to get better at handling this and being able to do it next time. So, going back to my kid situation, I want my kids, I want the best life for my kids. I want them to be able to manage things in a way that it took me to getting to 44 before early 40s is when I really started to get better at handling a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have somebody to guide me through this. I didn't have an emotionally mature father or mother in essence. My mom is a saint, but also sometimes a little disconnected. So I want my kids to have the tools that are a little bit different than the tools that I was given to. So the question we have to always be asking is this helping me process my current reality or helping me avoid it? And is this working towards my goals? And are the things that I'm doing kind of funneling in to the direction that we need to? And I wish I could say that this is an easy thing to manage. It's not. It takes constant self-awareness of what you're doing all of the time. Take stock of asking yourself questions, which can be fucking emotionally exhausting. But for me, the fight is worth it. I want to feel like I'm making progress. I want to feel like my life can be the best life possible. And with that, that means that I have to grow, that I have to be digging into these things, that I have to be the one that is guiding the ship on my emotion. And I have to be constantly asking myself the question, am I trying to avoid these feelings, or am I trying to process and grow? So that is the kind of setup for the rest of what we're going to be talking about over the coming months. Is just basically the catalyst event, negative coping, positive coping, and then what is that trajectory like? What are some of the foundational things that we can put into place to actually help ourselves build a better life if the life you have isn't working? And I can tell you, having been divorced twice, having gone through all of the shit that I've gone through, struggling to raise 4 kids with 50% custody and in dual houses, and trying to teach them values at the same time, it's a cluster. I think we all want the life that we want to have. It's just, are we willing to put in the work to get it? So if you want to come along with me on this journey of trying to put in the work, hit like and subscribe. That's my podcast. Like and subscribe. I think I need to start doing that at the top of the podcast, because that's what every podcast does. But until next time, be the role model that you wish you had always had.